Hi, Gene Monterastelli here, the editor of tappingqna.com. The video that you are about to watch is a conversation that was a part of this year's 24 Hours of Tapping. The 24 Hours of Tapping is a fundraiser for the amazing work that is done by the Peaceful Heart Network. The Peaceful Heart Network has brought tapping to migrants, refugees, prisoners, and the underprivileged in over 30 countries all over the world. As you watch this video, if you learned something, if you were touched by it, if you were inspired by it, the easiest way to say thank you is to support the work of the Peaceful Heart Network. To do that, all you need to do is go to 24hoursoftapping.com/support. And as you look in the description and the first comment down below, you will see a direct link to that. I hope you enjoy this conversation. We have a conversation with my friend Carol Look. Carol Look is one of the founding EFT Masters. She's an author, a speaker, and a coach. Trained as a psychotherapist and a hypnotist, Carol studied EFT for over 24 years and became an EFT Master under the direct mentoring of EFT creator Gary Craig, and I'm sure lots of help from our friend Ann Adams. Carol has taught abundance workshops all over the world. She loves mentoring, tapping students, and creating EFT resources, including her popular book, Attracting Abundance with EFT. Here is my conversation with Carol Look about abundance. So one of the things that I find really interesting in just kind of getting ready for this conversation is the fact that you are using the vocabulary emotional abundance. And I love hearing how people define terms so we know what we're talking about. And so you've chosen those words very, very specifically. What do you mean by emotional abundance, and how does that compare to other definitions of abundance that we have?
So emotional abundance means that the emotions you're tuning into and focused on are the ones that feel free and expansive and joyful and, just up for you. Mm-hmm. And the other kinds of emotions, we all have them because we all are living our life and there's nothing wrong with them, but they're guilt, resentment, hurt, frustration. Yep. And if you want to raise your vibration to have more abundance coming in, you need to have more emotional abundance. And people were taught, I think, how to focus too much on, no, I want the car, I want the money, I want the job, I want the boyfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
You won't get those until you have emotional abundance. And it's subtle and it's clear and it is the one answer.
And I love that because, like what you're talking about here is so often we think I will be happy and fulfilled when I have job, relationship, physical fitness, things in my life, that sort of stuff. And I love the fact that we're going the opposite direction. One of the things that I spend a lot of time with is like whenever I'm naming a goal of some sort, naming why I want that goal. Like, why do I want to have the thing, the success of my business or whatever? Because it does a couple of things. One, it does exactly what you're talking about here, getting us to think about that particular piece of it. But the other part is it starts to help me to recognize, oh, I can solve this emotional problem in multiple ways. Like, I just think the car is going to make me happy, but there might be lots of things that make me happy. And if I recognize why, then my subconscious mind is going, oh, actually this experience, or oh, actually this relationship, or oh, actually is going to pull us in a direction. And so being in tune to that particular piece of it's so key. And so I love the fact that you have a piece of vocabulary for that gives us a frame to think about it.
It really helped me because, I've studied law of attraction and EFT together for years. That's been my work for 20 years. And something shifted in my understanding, my deeper understanding, my training of it, my teaching of it. And then, of course, other things shift in your life when you're focused on the emotional abundance. So you're saying the why, the feelings of how are you going to feel when you get that? Oh, easy. Expanded, fun, joyful. We'll get that now. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the thing, have the feeling now. And, some people can say, oh, that's, law of attraction, whatever. Yeah, try law of attraction, whatever, and see what happens to your life because it'll surprise you. Trust me.
And the other thing that I like what you're naming inside of there is that you and I can have the exact same experience in real life that is good. And you and I will have two completely different emotional experiences from that. Like we could do a class where we do a bunch of training, and at the end of the training, because we're both more good at something, you might walk out of it being really confident, where I walk out of it feeling really calm and comfortable inside of my own skin, knowing if something goes wrong, I'm going to be able to handle it. And so the experience is the same, but the emotion that we are longing for, the place that we want to be inside of that, is going to be unique for each of us as we do that. And so again, I love the fact that you're giving us a vocabulary to think about. Even if we want a dynamic relationship, what it gives you and what it gives me might be different. And me knowing what I want out of that emotionally makes it easier for me to create the emotion, but also makes it easier for me to create the thing that I want, because I know why I want to be in that particular circumstance.
You know why, you have passion for it, you're inspired to it. The other thing that has happened, and again, this is after watching people and teaching them and working on myself as always, the first guinea pig, is that people get skittish about the negative feelings. So they say, I shouldn't feel that way. That's, everybody has that piece in them.
Yeah.
And no, you shouldn't be skittish about it. You should have it and own it. That's why I love EFT the way you do. It's like, I don't care what the emotion is that doesn't feel abundant. Validate it, own it, tap on it, and move it through. Right.
And one of the things that I originally learned this from the hypnotist Cal Banyan 15 years ago, but this idea that the emotion is just conveying information. So each negative emotion is conveying something really specific. When I'm afraid, the emotion is danger. When I'm sad, I'm disconnected from something important. When I am frustrated, I'm not connected to something that I want to have. And so it's not this bad thing. It's like, feeling a negative emotion is no different than a red light. It's a piece of information that says I need to stop so I don't get hit by oncoming traffic before I get to my place. The negative emotion is saying, hey, there is something going on internally that we need to understand before we can move on to the next place. And it's part of the reason why I've always kind of calling tapping emotional freedom technique has always been something that I've pushed up a little against, because the goal is not to be free of our emotions. The goal is to understand our emotions so we can have the appropriate emotion for the experience that we're in. And that's what you're describing here. We're not running from it, but we're going, learn, process, let it pass through. Then I can have the thing that I want.
Yes. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So with that being said, then that's a great little framework inside of that. Then what do we do with that practically as we are going, okay, I want to have something better in my life. I'm buying into this idea that I need to think about the emotion before I think of the outcome. How do I frame that? How do I come up with the emotions? What does the tapping look like? Practically, now that we understand that, what do we do?
Okay. So start with what you think you want, what you say you want.
Okay.
The better business, more income coming in, the relationship, time freedom, lifestyle freedom. What is it that you want? Then immediately go to, and how would I feel if I had it? That's the simple part. How would I feel? Well, how I'd feel, or the weight loss goal. How would you feel? I'd feel free. I'd feel excited. I'd feel peaceful. And how can you get those feelings now? I can't if I don't have it, right?
Yeah.
That's that people go through, but try to find what's the block. What's the block to feeling your feelings? What's the block to owning that you feel resentful that you don't have it, but your neighbor has it? Try to find the emotional conflict that's there, because that's the tappable target. The emotional conflict, the yes, but, I don't have it. Don't tell me to feel joyful or abundant when I don't have it. What is your resentment, your hurt, your guilt, your fear? Many people will say, yeah, but you're just trying to tell me that I should feel better. And I'm sick and tired of people telling me to feel better. I don't tell people to feel better. You feel any way you want. But if you recognize that any wallowing in the resentment or wallowing in the envy is actually hurting your cause, then you start to feel more inspired to work on those feelings. So it's the same thing with in all EFT sessions. What are the people coming to us for? What are you here for? Why now? Why are you suddenly talking about your relationship when you've been with a person for 20 years? What happened? What's going on? Why do you want more in your business now? What happened in the last 5 years? So the conflict is the juice, right? The conflict is where we can tap.
And so, and so as we're tuning into that, how do we then like practically identify that? So let's say I want to be physically healthier. I want to be, this true statement, I want to be 15 pounds lighter. It'd be healthier for me if I was 15 pounds lighter than I am. It would be better for my heart if I did that. Mm-hmm. And I can recognize, okay, this is what I'm trying to get to. How do I recognize, notice, name the resistance, the struggle that you're talking about there? Is it, I imagine the thing and something I feel? Like what's practically, how do we get to that?
So the first thing is, how would you feel if you get there? How would you feel when you got there, right?
Okay.
And then why aren't you there yet? So I was talking to a big group last night and saying, if you're not there yet and you keep seeing yourself sabotaging, it's evidence, it's data, it's like really good information that you have a conflict. And people say, I don't have a conflict, I want that. I know you said you want it, but you're actually in your own way. So the why is very important. Like, why do I want it? And why am I blocking myself? What's the emotion? What's the fear? What's the yes, but that keeps you from doing what you need to do behaviorally to get there? So you're not going to have different results unless you change your behavior, and you're not going to change your behavior unless you change your feelings. And EFT is the way to change your feelings.
And as you say that, I think about one of the things I teach a lot in my healing fundamentals is, if there wasn't resistance to change, the change would already have happened.
That's exactly. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. So great. So then once I found my way to a piece of resistance, once I found my way to a fear or something like that, what does the tapping actually look like as we're doing that?
So often I will tap on the obvious phrase, even though I must have a conflict about it or I'd be there already. Sometimes that's a little vague for the brain and the body to take in. And we want to know, well, what is the conflict? So I would say, why aren't you there yet? What's the resistance? Are you afraid of something? My questions, what's the upside? What's the downside? What could be an upside of staying where you are, or a downside of getting there? And then you get more than just, there's obviously a conflict, which is fine. You can tap on, there's a conflict for me getting to my goal, or else I'd already be there. But if you ask those questions, you can sometimes get the exact fear. I'm afraid of being visible. I'm not sure I want to work that hard. I assume that if I double my income, it's going to be annoying for my partner. You name it, whatever it is. Right.
And I really, like, personally, I really, really super love those ambiguous tapping phrases that you're talking about there. Even though there's obviously a conflict to this that I can't see, there's obvious a conflict to this that I can't see. And for me, when I'm tapping on a phrase like that, like we were talking about before we started this conversation, like, I really like being competent. Like, one of the things that I like doing is being competent. And the older I get, the more I lean into my competency and the more I lean out of my incompetency, just because there are things I'm really good at. I want to do the things I'm really good at because I feel good about it. And so sometimes when I don't understand something about myself, what I'm bumping up against is, I don't like feeling dumb about thinking about myself. And so the phrase that you're sharing there's obviously a conflict about this that I can't see. What I'm really tapping on as I say that phrase is the feeling of incompetence and not liking to feel incompetent when I'm saying it. It's not the words, but those words, by saying out loud, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. The emotions I have, the lack of understanding, start clearing. So then when you ask those questions, like you said, what are the downsides for being successful? What are the upsides for not being successful? I love sticking the phrase at the beginning of it. I know you don't know the answer to this question, but if you did, just even letting the subconscious mind relax even more. But like that phrase, everybody should jot that phrase down, because it really does create this gateway so we can do those deeper questions if we don't immediately, or our clients don't immediately, have access to the answers to those questions. And
I think for the big group watching, what we could do is just do the conflict statement. Yeah. And so everybody could think about, well, what is it that you want? You're not there yet. What's your suspicion? Just kind of think about it. What's your suspicion about why you're not there? And then we assume, because we know human nature, that we all have conflicts about getting to where we say and, profess out loud, I really want to get there. And it doesn't matter what the end result topic is. It's about being in alignment, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with getting there. Because if you sabotage yourself, you've got a conflict, as we keep saying. So I think you want to do some tapping on it?
Yeah. So let's everybody tap on the side of your hand and just take a nice big deep breath, and everybody tune into something that you want, so that we're all kind of on the, like, we all have something that's there, and then we're going to follow your lead. Go right ahead, Carol, whenever you're ready.
And you know that I end with the top of the head, right?
Yep.
Everybody I've trained ends with the top of the head. So sorry about that.
It's all good.
Even though I have a conflict about reaching my goal.
Even though I have a conflict about reaching my goal.
And I didn't know it.
And I didn't know it.
I thought I wanted it wholeheartedly.
I thought I wanted it wholeheartedly.
I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway.
I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway.
Even though my results show me that I have a conflict about reaching my goal.
Even though my results show I have a conflict about reaching my goal.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Eyebrow. I have a conflict and I don't know what it is.
I have a conflict and I don't know what it is.
Side of the eye. But I know that I sabotage myself.
But I know that I sabotage myself.
And I'm not there yet.
And I'm not there yet.
But I thought all of me wanted to be there.
But I thought all of me wanted to be there.
But my behavior shows me that I don't.
But my behavior shows me that I don't.
And I accept that.
And I accept that.
I accept me.
I accept me.
And now I accept that I've got a conflict.
And now I accept that I got a conflict.
Because now I can work on it.
Because now I can work on it.
Deep breath.
It was so interesting as we were doing that. It was almost like I could feel myself bifurcating into two people, that's like not just being of two minds. Like as we were going through those phrases, it was almost like cell division inside of me where I could kind of feel these two parts. But what was interesting is they were just noticing each other. There wasn't like the sense of like battling against each other. It's like, oh, okay, I really am of two minds as I lean into something like this.
Yes. And so then I say to clients, give each part a voice, because we know you want it, because you keep saying you want it, and you keep starting new programs, and you keep paying for new programs, but you don't follow through. So we've got that. Now let's talk to the part of you that says, ooh, what? Ooh, I'm scared. It's always fear. You could not use any other language, but I'm afraid to reach my goal for 3 days in a workshop, and everybody would have. It's always fear. It's always, whether it's fear of visibility, fear of reaching my goal, and then what? Fear of, in the weight loss field, a lot of people are afraid not to hate themselves for it. And if they reach their goal, who are they now?
Yeah.
Identity issues, safety issues. So a really good question after you start the conflict tapping is to say, what about reaching my goal makes me feel unsafe or unsure?
Yep.
What about that might make you feel, have doubts when here where you are, like, oh no, I want it, rah. I've signed up. You know how people are. I've signed up for a marketing program. You know how we are. I've signed up for this. And then there's no follow through. When people say, well, what's the evidence that I don't have emotional abundance or emotional alignment? The evidence is the lack of follow through.
Yeah.
Oh, but I thought life just got busy. Yeah, life got busy. But if you were really into it wholeheartedly, you'd find time for it. So I would do one more, and I would still use conflict language, even if someone says, I got it, it's a fear of this. You could either do the continued conflict or go to the fear.
Yep.
Okay. And again, remember what we're doing is we're trying to get the emotion that's disturbing or upsetting calmed down, neutralized in the brain, not taking it away from you, but neutralized in the brain. So then you can say, well, what would I want to feel instead?
Yep.
Oh, what do I want to feel that would feel good to me? Even though I still have a conflict.
Even though I still have a conflict.
About reaching my goal.
About reaching my goal.
And wanting the abundance that I say I want.
And wanting the abundance I say I want.
I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself.
I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself.
Even though I must still have a conflict about reaching my abundance.
Even though I must still have a conflict about reaching my abundance.
I didn't know it was there.
I didn't know it was there.
But my results are showing it to me.
But my results are showing it to me.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I still have a conflict about reaching my goal.
I still have a conflict about reaching my goal.
No wonder I haven't been feeling abundant.
No wonder I haven't been feeling abundant.
Because I feel split about it.
Because I feel split about it.
And I want to respect all of me.
And I want to respect all of me.
Even the part of me that isn't sure.
Even the part of me that isn't sure.
And my results are showing me that I'm unsure.
And my results are showing me that I'm unsure.
And that I have a conflict about it.
And I have a conflict about it.
And I deeply and completely accept all of me.
And I deeply and completely accept all of me.
A deep breath. And so that starts the process. So you want to start, noticing then what happens emotionally. Are you feeling lighter about it? What goes on when you admit and just say, well, I have a conflict about it. Isn't that surprising? Oh, fascinating. I didn't know I had a conflict. I thought everybody wants abundance. I thought everybody wants better health. Yeah, maybe everybody wants better health, but most of us are in our own way and we don't do the things that we need to.
And one of the things that came to mind as you're like talking about moving from one emotion to the other is it makes me think of the SU scale, which is different than the SUD scale. So many tappers are used to the SUD scale, which is subjective unit of distress, where the SU scale is the subjective unit of experience. So instead of being 0 to 10, it goes from -10 to +10. And the thing that you're tuning into so well is that sometimes we want more than just escaping the negative emotion. It's not that I no longer want to be scared, but I want to be confident. It's not that I no longer want to be scared. I want to be calm, whatever that thing looks like. And sometimes I am in such distress, I can't see what the other possibility is. Like I just want to reduce it, but I really love the idea that you're introducing this fact of this is not just about diminishing something that is negative, but this is about growing and fostering something that is positive, because when I am in a neutral emotional state, I'm not in distress, but I'm also not super motivated to take action. I'm not super motivated to go create change. I'm not super motivated to really invest time and energy. I'm just in this state of stasis. Yeah. And I love the fact that you're talking about that we're not just diminishing, but we're tipping the scale and stepping into these other emotions, because part of being well-resourced is having a really good emotional state. Yes. Poker players talk about all the time, not momentum, but when they're playing well, their confidence goes up. And so all of a sudden they're trusting their instinct, they're trusting their training, all of this stuff, and they're not second guessing. And because they're not second guessing, they're making better choices in the moment. And that's what you're talking about here, is if emotionally I get to that state, I'm going to start acting as if, and I'm going to start creating the stuff without it having to be there, because it's the natural place that I'm going, because I feel my way into that thing.
Right. So if someone's in a resentful or envious space, that is abundant by definition, and they'll make a crummy decision. We all do. Right. If our come from is from there. And you know how I do the gratitude tapping and the thank you tapping. And it's why I say to people, you have to wait until you get some of the negativity down, neutralized, accepted, validated, because a lot of people are running around just trying to do positive, I feel great tapping. There is no place for it to go. So we want to neutralize, and then we can start to build, right? You don't want to build on top of a garbage can. You want to release it, own it, validate it, and then say, now what do I want instead? Because from a guilty, or as I said, resentful place, you don't know what you want to build. The energy's twisted. It's not healthy. Right?
And the thing that you're saying in there, like the really nice thing is our subconscious mind is going to tell us if we're getting to the gratitude, thankful stuff too fast. Yes, it's like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. And my subconscious mind goes, no, you're not. You failed before, you're going to fail again. And it's like, oh, right. We're not there yet. And so I think it's really easy for us to, if we have a tapping process or a tapping script, where I'm just focusing on, I'm going to say these gratitude words, or the tapping along with one of your audios or something like that, when what we really need to be doing is as we're saying those words, we need to be paying attention to the feedback that is showing up internally. And if it is resistance, pushback, it's like, okay, great. I am on step 3 and I really need to be back at step 1. We need to really tune and pay attention. If I can just tune in that there is conflict, or there's conflict because this is what's going on, I need to be getting through those things before we can get anywhere near that gratitude stuff. Because you're right, it is super valuable and it's super useful when we are in the place where we can actually engage with it in a way that is useful.
And even the word resistance. So right now, some people are having resistance to emotional abundance because they're thinking, no, I want the thing. I want the end result, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think resistance has been so pathologized.
Yeah.
Resistance is human and normal, and 100% of human beings have it. So own it, say where it is, say what it's about. Is it about reaching the goal? Is it about people being envious of you? Is it about having the money and not knowing what to do with it? Is it about, a relationship scares you? What is it about? Your resistance, what is it about? Then you can tap on it. But when it's just, you're resistant, Gene, and that's bad, there's no place to go. We can't work with that. And, that's what people are saying to kids. And, many of us were raised with that. You shouldn't be here. You need to be here. And we're saying you are here, welcome it, validate it, deal with it, and then be able to choose where you'd like to go instead.
And I don't know if Brad originated it, but I originally heard it from Brad Yates, our friend, who he said, resistance is just misguided self-love. Like, it's a part of us that's trying to keep us safe because it wants us to be healthy. It's just showing up in a way that is contracting, not expansive. And when we engage with it in that way, I love this idea of my issues are my allies. Like they're trying to keep me safe in some way. And what you're talking about here is giving it space to be heard so we can understand where it's coming from. Because when we understand where it's coming from, it's so much easier for us to engage in that particular way.
Yes. I had maybe 3 people already this week say, I've never said that out loud to one person all at once. And what that means is I was able to give them the space to say I'm conflicted and I'm mad at myself and I shouldn't be conflicted, but I am, and just own it and put it on the table. And then they go,
yeah,
now I can move forward. So I do all that work with the sabotage, and we know that sabotage behavior solves a problem. So I would use safety, right, as the main thing. Human beings need to feel safe in tiny ways and, of course, in huge ways.
Yeah.
And we will move heaven and earth not to feel vulnerable, exposed, scared. We'll do anything, even behaviors that our friends are like, why would you do that? I thought you said you wanted, X, Y, and Z. So we do behaviors that are very confronting to us. Why did I sabotage? Because you didn't feel safe taking the next step or the next 3 steps. You didn't feel safe. Yes, but I want it. I know you want it.
Yeah.
Here's the evidence again that you have a conflict. And people don't want conflict. Well, you can't not have conflict if you're human, right? We got to own that and just say, okay, let's take a look at it. Oh, cool. Let's take a look at it.
And as you say that, I was recently running a training in which one of the slides I took Maslow's hierarchy of needs and I laid it right over the actual shape of the brain. And the thing that happens is we think from the bottom of the brain up, and the bottom parts of Maslow's hierarchy of need of safety and security are living in the subconscious mind, where purpose is living up here. And so if I have fears of safety, I'm never going to get to the thought of purpose.
You can't. It's impossible. You can't.
Yeah. Fear always wins. And I love the fact earlier you're talking about this fact of tuning into this idea of safety. Because I think it's easier for us to talk about fear because fear is something I'm experiencing in a moment where unsafety is a statement of my state. Like I'm in an unsafe environment, which is different than I feel fear in this moment. And I am finding more and more with my clients, just the number of times we're talking around the sense of, is this safe for me to have success, well-being, health, whatever it is, because I'm not afraid of being healthy. So asking the question of, how is being healthy unsafe? How is being successful unsafe? How is being in an awesome dynamic relationship unsafe? And because we're not used to having that part of our conversation, when I walk down the street and someone goes, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I go fine." Like, I don't even answer. Like, it's just a call and response. I'm not actually reporting how I'm feeling. That's just what we say. Where when we ask a question that is novel, we're not normally talking about safety. I think that's a really great thing, that it creates this key for us to unlock what's going on in the subconscious mind, because we're not used to the question. And boy, is it a valuable question.
Safety comes up in 100% of my sessions.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I want to do a safety around abundance, because again, emotional abundance, some people are going, what is that? What about financial abundance? Yep. About success? So let's just try this quickly. We have time for this? Another one?
Oh, absolutely. Totally.
Even though a part of me feels unsafe with abundance.
Even though a part of me feels unsafe with abundance.
And that's why I keep sabotaging.
And that's why I keep sabotaging.
And blaming outside factors.
And blaming outside factors.
I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway.
I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway.
Even though a part of me feels unsafe with abundance.
Even though a part of me feels unsafe with abundance.
I accept that I must have a conflict.
I accept that I must have a conflict.
And I'm willing to take a look at it.
And I'm willing to take a look at it.
I really want abundance.
I really want abundance.
But I don't want emotional abundance, do I?
I don't want emotional abundance, do I?
I want physical, material abundance.
I want physical, material abundance.
But I didn't realize I need emotional abundance first.
I didn't realize I need emotional abundance first.
I almost feel like I'm getting that.
I almost feel like I'm getting that.
I need to feel free before I am free.
I need to feel free before I am free.
I need to feel satisfied before I become satisfied.
I need to feel satisfied before I become satisfied.
I think I'm starting to shift.
I think I'm starting to shift.
I think I'm starting to get it.
I think I'm starting to get it. One of the things that I love so much about that tapping is the place you're trying to move us to, you are not making it an all or nothing proposition. Mm-hmm. Because I think of just like something like confidence. Like, I'm supremely confident professionally. I'm nowhere near that confident in my dating life. And I'm the same person, and I'm but put me in different contexts. And so it's even not an all or nothing proposition in different parts of my life. But as we get to that place, I really love the fact that we're giving ourselves, when we tap on that, permission to, I'm open to the possibility that someday it might be possible for me to believe this in a small way, even if I don't do it fully. Sometimes I'm tapping in there 37 caveats before we get to the thing. But the entire round of tapping, that's what it was. It was this gentle caveat of, I'm not there. I'm open to it being possible, even if I'm not even willing to be there today, or I'm not able to be there today. And I think that's not just here. I think that's a good lesson for us to remember in all of our tapping, is that sometimes it's emotionally unsafe to even think it's possible. Yes. And so the first step is saying, I'm open to the possibility that I might be emotionally safe to someday think about that. And so I love that inside of that tapping.
Right. And remember this idea of abundance. People so assume that it's materialistic. It's like, well, if you want that, great, but you can't get there unless you do the emotional abundance first. And people, yes, but is the reaction. And I had it too. Yes, but don't make me be accepting and happy where I am, because I'm not happy yet. We've got the yet issue. Right? Yeah. And then people will say, oh, Carol, you're doing parts work. I don't care what you call it. From hypnosis. Are you doing parts work? Are you doing IFS part? No, we're just talking to human beings and saying, obviously your results are showing you, and we all have them. I just want to make that clear again. Every single human being has conflicts and yes, no's about any topic, right? That's okay. But we want to get to the tipping point, which means you have to feel safe enough, protected enough, and calm enough with the new you. What's the new you going to look like? Oh, new you, don't use that word. Oh, well, we just triggered. We like triggers. We're not talking about traumatizing people. When you feel triggered by the thought of you being in the new space, new you, the more abundance, what happens? What do you mean? Isn't it just great? That's what people say. Everybody wants to lose weight. Do they really? No. Everybody wants abundance. No. Well, they say they want it, But between here and the goal, all these steps have got to be taken care of.
Yeah, and one of the phrases that I like using is I like using the phrase push the bruise. Like if I have a bruise in the middle of my thigh, I might not notice it for a week, but in the middle of the night, it happens to be the exact height of the sink in my bathroom and I bump into it. The sink did not injure me. The sink is simply saying, hey, this is the injury that is there. Every single time we bump into one of these triggers, that's all we're doing is we're simply recognizing a wound, a resistance, a block that we're not creating those things by doing this work. We're simply shining a light on the things that are there. And once they're named, they're actually manageable and we can do some work with them.
Yes. And we all need to stop criticizing ourselves for the resistance that we find.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you've bounced up 30 pounds again. I don't care if you blocked a business deal. I don't care if you're procrastinating. It's all information and it's solving a problem for you. So find out why you're procrastinating. Find out why you think, oh, emotional abundance, that's not really true. I'm living it. I have been doing it for years and years, training and teaching people for years and years because it works. So people will say, well, does it work? Like, yeah. It works.
And the point you're making about how we need to stop criticizing ourselves about that. I actually go to the exact opposite extreme, and I have to be careful with my clients sometimes because they'll say, oh, because of blah, 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 blah. And they'll tell me like this horrific memory and I'll go, great. And I mean, wait, it's not great that you had this horrific thing. It's great that we have found this thing. Like it's really, single favorite phrase a client will ever use is this probably has nothing to do with it, but. That's when we're doing this work really, really well, when we're bumping into these resistances and all of a sudden and I'm sure you've seen this with your clients as well. It's like, oh, and you can see it dawning on them when you ask the question, why is it unsafe for you to lose weight? And they're like, it's not. Oh, right. Yeah. And it's coming to their conscious mind for the first time. For me as a practitioner, when I see that, I'm in my head, I'm doing a little happy dance. Not that they're experiencing that, but we're getting to exactly what we're talking about here. We now know where the thing is, which gives us the opportunity to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Finding it and validating it. We love the research about the tapping points. It's incredible. It's changing the field. But it is hard to measure and research validation, ownership, accepting, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Yeah.
Good luck putting that into a research study.
And that's the reason why so often I'm always talking about my experience descriptively, not prescriptively. I can just tell you what I have seen. I can just tell you what I've experienced. I understand that this is not a double-blind valid test, which I have a lot of respect for. And I also know this is my experience, and that's the reason why I'm talking about it in this particular way. And it's okay for us to be in that particular space. Yes.
When in doubt, release resistance. Well, what does that mean? It means you've got a yes, no, maybe. You've got something in there that says, not really sure, but people present, no, I'm sure I want to launch my website, to launch my new business. I'm sure I want to start dating again. I'm sure, but you didn't sign up for the site yet.
That's
but
right.
You didn't launch your website yet, but you sabotaged a business opportunity that came your way. Interesting.
Yeah.
Make it interesting. Then you can tap on it and then you can say, got it. Now here's where I want to go.
Yeah. Because it's like you said, it's so much easier for us to take action when we're in the resource state of the place that we're trying to land, because then all we're doing is we're taking our internal experience and we're taking the actions to make it show up in our external world.
Yes. So I deeply and completely love and accept myself no matter what, even if you're not emotionally abundant, even if you feel like you keep sabotaging yourself, it's okay, because if you push against it and say it's not okay and I'm bad, that's what I say about the criticism, you can't change.
Yeah.
It locks it in place. The more you say bad person, bad feelings, I shouldn't have this is bad, the more it locks in. We can't shift. We cannot shift energetically, emotionally, physiologically, we cannot shift.
Yeah. And what you're talking about there is I am bad. That's not an experience. That's a state. And if we're defining ourselves as I am bad, then that's like saying, the sky is up and the ground is down. I'm making a statement about reality, which is hard to escape. And that's the reason why it's so important that we're poking around these emotional experiences, is because it's not a state, it's an experience that we've turned into a state. And if we can't get out of that state, then we're not going to take different action.
You got it. You got
Excellent. Awesome. Well, as always, Carol, I appreciate the conversation, and it's also really, really exciting, like to watch, a colleague and a friend continue to evolve and grow in understanding. It was like, as we started, right at the beginning, you said the word abundance, and immediately it was 15 years ago, and I was listening to you on a podcast as I was folding laundry, talking about this topic. And so, like, I so appreciate the fact that even with someone who is having lots of success with this, that you are constantly on a learning edge in your own experience and what you're teaching and how you understand stuff. And like that's very heartening to know that you are in process along with the folks that you're helping. And so it's just super, super great.
Absolutely. Wonderful being with you. We got to have lunch soon in New York.
We will make it happen.
Thank you, Jean. Good luck with the whole series.
If you found this interview inspiring, I would encourage you to support the Peaceful Heart Network by going to 24hoursoftapping.com/support or clicking the link in the description. And you will see on the screen right now a playlist to all of the interviews from this year's and last year's 24 Hours of Tapping. I hope you enjoyed those as well.